Recording in progress.
Hello, hello.
Hey,
Hey, what's going on? I
hey.
couldn't hear you.
Yeah, for some reason my Bluetooth is not connected, but I'm picking you up. I'm gonna switch something over.
Okay.
Okay. Got somebody coming on. Somebody's coming on Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I know. I think I know what I need to do. All right, it's showing it's connected.
Okay.
It's not coming through. My normal channels. All right. Let me get this off the screen. Looks like we are here. There we go. Michael, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, good. I got you. You're coming through.
Okay.
Well, I just want to welcome everybody to Celebrating Fatherhood 365. I have a special guest tonight. We're going to be talking, and I see Nick has joined us live on Zoom. So good to see you, Nick. If you don't mind just hanging out for a few minutes, I'm going to interview Michael Theory, who had a birthday on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. We've been friends for a long time, and we used to do programs on public access. So this is, in fact, Michael, just to let you know, Gorgeous George, he caught my show, I think about a week or so ago. Yeah, and he said it's like public access all over again. I laughed when he said that, but it's okay. Yeah, okay, I like the comparison. I thought it was pretty cool because the way we used to do it back then. I mean, if we had the opportunity to actually cross over and do this type of thing, I definitely would have jumped at it. It was relatively new at the time.
Yeah,
We were doing that. Yeah. So today, this show is about fathers, celebrating fatherhood. And you and I was talking a little bit on your birthday about it, and just the many twists and turns of being a father. And I know you are a father yourself.
Yes.
So tell me, what has been your experience of being a father?
Well, you know my story.
Yeah. I don't want to steal your thunder though.
Yeah, of course, the young lady that I raised is not actually my biological child. I was married, and I didn't find out until 13 years later that child wasn't mine biologically. But I certainly didn't have it in my heart to throw her away because it wasn't her fault.
Right.
So she's my only experience of being a father. When I was there when she was born. As a matter of fact, when she came out of her mother's womb, they put her in my arms first. And to be honest with you, I literally just fell in love with the little girl. Of course, at the time, I didn't know she wasn't my biological child.
So what took 13 years for you to find out, or what happened 13 years later that made you want to find out?
Well, I tell you what, it really started when she turned 10, and I was sitting on my sofa, and I just was looking at her. And anybody who knows me, they know I'm like very peculiar, in my thinking and stuff like that. And I said to myself, Michael, I have such peculiar ways. I said, why doesn't this girl have any of my peculiar ways? It was just a question I asked myself.
Oh,
and
wow.
I don't know if it was outward or inward. I heard this voice and said, she's not yours. And it disturbed me.
What?
It disturbed me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like I said, at the time she was 10. So I just kind of tried to block it out of my mind. I was laying in my bed 3 years later, and I swear I hear this voice say, "Okay, it's time to find out." And so I went to the court to, request a, paternity test. And when my ex, of course, when she got the message, when she got the letter, she came and, she just started yelling and screaming and cursing at me. When she did that, I knew something was wrong.
Oh, wow. Because that's not what she normally would do. Had she ever done that before?
She's gotten upset with me before,
but she really got aggressive with it this time.
Oh yeah, she got overly aggressive with it.
The fact that you were questioning paternity or not.
Right.
Wow.
And don't get me wrong, man. It's not that I didn't want to be a father.
Right.
Hey man, I wish I had. If at my age of 64, that's like one of my biggest regrets, man.
It's not too late, Mike.
Oh no.
It's not too late, Mike.
Man, I don't know if I want to be 74 years old with a 9 or a 10-year-old child.
Hey, I know some people. I know a couple of guys that are like that.
Yeah.
In fact, you remember Kwame Benta?
Yeah.
He's 69. He has a 2-year-old.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I saw him at King Salim California's funeral. Well, celebration of life. Yeah, I saw him there. Yep.
Oh, Salim passed away?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Oh, really? Yeah, he passed away sometime in February.
Oh, wow.
And they had a celebration for him. They had one at Virginia Union with his frat brothers, and then they had one at what is that? Lucille. I can't remember her name now. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be Lucille Brown on Mosby.
Yeah.
I don't know what the name of that school is now, but yeah, they had it at the school.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people from public access there.
I didn't even know because I sure would have tried to.
Yeah, I didn't think about it, man. But yeah, he passed away, and I saw quite a few. I saw Lee Robinson and a few other people from there.
Right.
Minister Tracy Muhammad, he was there.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of people, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she really got aggressive with you.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the fact that you even questioned it. So that tells you right there that she already knew.
Yeah. And
Did she confess it at all, or she just?
No, she denied it. When we went to court, of course, the judge came out and he was like, "Look, man, he said, I see you've shown all kinds of proof that you've taken very good care of this little girl." I said, "Yes, I have." So, he said, "So it's not even about a child support thing." So he asked me, why was I doing this? I said, "I'm going to be honest with you, I'm really kind of just doing it on a hunch." I said, "I just have a bad feeling about it." And, to make a long story short, after the test, when we came back, the judge came out, same judge. He showed us a picture. "Is this your daughter? Is this your daughter?" And I said, "Yes, my daughter." And she said the same thing. He looked over.
All right, I seem to have lost you by doing something. Hold tight, Mike. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. You were talking about the judge. The judge, he asked you the question, "Are you sure this is your daughter?"
Yeah, no, he had a, see, when they do a paternity test, they take a picture of the child.
Oh, okay.
So when he came out with the picture, he asked both of us, "Is this the child we're talking about?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Yeah, that's my daughter." And he looked over at her. He said, "Ma'am, there's a 0.0 probability that this man is the father."
Wow.
Yeah.
How long did it take to get the results back?
Oh, it took I think it took about 2 weeks. Of course, she went through this whole denial thing, and
Denial?
yeah, she denied it right there in court, man. And,
How could she do that?
Well, hey, that's what she did, man. But and the judge was kind of blood test, and she said, I mean, the judge said, look, a DNA test is like 1,000 times more accurate than a mere blood test. This man is not the father.
Wow.
And see, when you do paternity tests, they do them in 3 different locations. As a matter of fact, they send them to 3 different states.
Yeah.
And they all came back saying the same thing. but you know, as a father, I had no desire to just, you know, kick this young lady to the curb. I just didn't have it in my heart to do that because I had raised her.
Now you suspected at 10, but you waited 3 years before you got the test done?
Yeah, man, because in my mind, I just really just, you know, I was just trying to put it out of my mind because I really didn't want to believe it, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I started thinking, you know, well, maybe maybe this is just, I'm just making this up in my head. But like I said, when she turned 13, I swear, man, I was laying in the bed and I hear this voice say, it's time for you to go and get this test now.
Wow. But at 10, you heard she's not yours.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people don't believe that. I said, look, I was just asking myself a question. How come this girl doesn't have any of my peculiar ways?
Yeah.
And I swear I hear this voice saying, she's not yours.
Wow.
You know?
I believe you because I can attest you do have peculiar ways.
Yeah.
I've been knowing you a long time, so and it's just Michael. That's just who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for you to not see any of that in her it would be kind of strange.
Right.
You know, but that didn't change your role as a father
No, it
to
didn't.
her.
The blessing in that is that I still got to experience being a father.
So did the mother tell her the truth? Did it change your relationship at all, or how did that dynamic play out once you guys knew the truth?
As my daughter got older, because see, I wouldn't kick her to the curb, but I continued to. As a matter of fact, I tried to pull her in closer to me. But as she got older, I think it bothered her that I went and found out because
It bothered the mother or bothered the child?
the child.
Oh, okay.
I think it bothered her, but I asked her. You know, I said, "Look, do you understand why I had to go and find out if your mother was being honest with me?" And though she said she understood, I think it still bothered her because now, you know, to be honest with you, man, you know, she's 29 now. She hasn't spoken to me.
29?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she hasn't spoken to me in like 5 years, man. I've reached out to her many times, so I don't know if, you know, but when people come to me, they always tell me, man, they said, my dad, he was a good guy, but I have no idea why she just stopped speaking to me. But, you know, that's kind of how, you know, we're talking about fatherhood, you know, that's one of the ways how some fathers get a raw deal, man.
Yeah.
You know?
So she tells people you were a good father,
Yeah.
but she won't speak to you and talk to you at all.
She won't talk to me now. I don't know why she feels that way.
Do you have her phone number?
Yeah, I have her phone number, man. I've reached out to her many times.
So you've called her and she don't answer the phone and don't pick up.
Yeah, she won't pick up the phone. And I called her mother. I said, you know, I've been good to all of you. She said, Michael, you really have. You know, she even says that now. She said, you really have. And I said, you know, maybe you can help me understand why our daughter, you know, doesn't want to talk to me. I said, because
she's still your daughter.
Right, I raised her.
That's
know?
right.
And you know, and I reminded her. Beforehand. I said, look, I was there when you were born. I said, I remember coming to all of your school things all these things you were involved in, and when you would walk out, you would be looking to see if I was there, and I would raise my hand, and then you would like give me that big grin, like, gosh, she came. You know, I said, I mean, I've been, you know, I taught her a lot of things, you know, based on, you know, what experiences that I'm not. When I'm talking, but I'm not bitter. I just want to get that across.
Yeah. I understand. But it is disheartening when you've invested a lot of time and with a child, and then for them to disconnect like that. You know, it is kind of disheartening. You know, to experience that. And does she have any children of her own?
Yeah, she does. She's gotten married, and she actually has 3 children. Now, I don't really know them, man. I saw the oldest.
You don't get pictures or nothing.
No, man. But
So how is the
yeah,
mother? How is the mother helping you to facilitate that relationship? Is she talking to her at all, or
well, she
on?
talks to her mother. She talks
No, I'm
to
saying
her
is the
mother.
mother talking to her on your behalf and
Not
trying to
really.
figure out why she cut off? Or do you think the mother tainted the water?
See, I can't really say, to be honest with you. But when I talk to her, the only thing I can go on is what she tells me. She says, "Well, I talked to her and told her that she needs to pick up the phone and talk to you."
Wow.
But but AJ, it is what it is. I don't have any. It's disheartening, but I don't have any regrets. At least I did get the experience of trying to show her an example of
Unconditional love.
yeah, and what a father should be.
Right. And father, and I'm glad you're sharing too, because we gotta help children and people to understand that being a father is not always biological.
That's true.
Because even being a stepfather,
Right.
which you weren't a stepfather because you was there from the beginning. Stepfather's one who steps in later. You were
Well,
there
actually,
from the
I've been a
beginning.
stepfather too, because she had a child when I met her.
Oh,
So
really?
so I helped to raise him too.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you fulfilled both of those roles as a father and a stepfather. And that right there takes a special kind of man to do that or even want to do that, because, but the challenge is how she's treating you now.
Right.
And what can we do now to facilitate even you don't get invited to Christmas, Thanksgiving, or
Man.
birthdays or anything. Do you call her on her birthday? Do you text her on her
I've reached
birthday?
out. Yeah, man, I've reached out to her. She just, for whatever reason, she won't return my calls. But like I said, what I get from people, I run into people on the street who see her, like they'll run into her in the store, and they always tell me, Michael, she speaks very highly of me. So that's what's confusing to me, because when I try to reach out to her, she won't answer my calls. So, but it's
Yeah.
okay. Like I said, I'm not bitter. I'm thankful still that I got the opportunity,
To be a
be in a
parent, to be a
position.
father, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And, over now, I just tell people, when I tell people this part, I tell them to look over a course of I'm 64 now, but look over the course from the time I was 23 up until now. I would have had 3 children, but I guess I made a bad decision in the women who I chose to get involved with, because all 3 of them, when they were pregnant, decided that they were going to get abortion.
Really?
Abortion, yeah. The last one, man.
Wow.
The last one, back when partial birth abortion was still legal, she was actually 6 months pregnant before she got an abortion.
No way.
I went to her, I said, look, you just got 3 more months. If you don't want this child, have the baby and give it to me. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
I was,
That's devastating there to be that far along and they did an abortion at that stage.
oh yeah, that the partial birth abortion back then was still legal.
Oh my God.
To be honest with you, I was looking at a documentary, and I think I was looking at the Democratic Party kind of wants to bring that back.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, they say that women give access to sex in a relationship, and they also determine if a child is going to be brought to full term or not. That
Right.
is 100% their decision. And I think that's wrong,
I do too.
because if you were willing, she should have had the baby and she could have signed off on her rights or whatever and let you raise the child.
Yeah,
but it's kind of selfish in so many ways to do that, man. That's
it
just
is.
my opinion. I think it's very selfish and vindictive at some point in time. Were y'all still together, or y'all had broken up?
Well, this last one, we were the relationship was kind of falling apart, but I'm like, I'm like, but okay, but you're still pregnant. You know?
Right, right.
You and I don't have to be together to be co-parents. You know, and I said, if you truly don't want and you know, all guys, you know, we love our daughters, but you know, all guys kind of want a little boy. It just happened to be a little boy.
Oh, and she knew that.
Yes, you knew.
Oh,
but, you know,
wow.
you know, a 6-month-old baby, you know, it's really just growing at that point.
Yeah, at that point, they're just putting on weight.
Right.
Everything is there.
Yeah.
Everything is there. That is so sad, Mike. I never knew that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never knew that.
But again, you know, I still had the experience of being in a position of what we would call a father, and you know, and I'm not trying to brag, man. I was a good dad, and and I guess that's why when she sees people who know me, she tells them, yeah, he was a good guy,
Right.
and he was a good dad.
That's awesome, man.
You know, we were talking a little bit how, you know, how fathers may get a raw deal.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. You know, and a lot of it comes from the mothers, unfortunately. I mean, this situation with your daughter, you know, if I had the opportunity to speak to her, I would tell her she's missing out on a blessing.
Right.
You know, because, you know, who does she have now as a father figure if not you?
Well, when my ex, man, when she let everything die down, because she kept telling everybody I was the father, but when everything just kind of died down, she went to and found the other guy that she was with.
Oh,
Matter of
she
fact,
did?
Come to find out, they used to work. They were working together, and
Co-workers.
yeah, and so what happened is she told him that, you know, she believes that he's the biological father. He took a paternity test and it was 99.99999 positive.
Oh, wow. So she introduced him to the daughter?
Right, and she really, I don't know, they just
At what
much
age?
of at, let's see, she was probably 18 then, 18 or 19.
Okay, but developmentally, you were the father, so.
Right. And so I guess he's tried to reach out to him. I actually talked to the guy on the phone one time, and you know, he said that he didn't know. I said, man, y'all were working together. I said, when you saw her belly starting to swell, and you know you had been with her.
He never asked any questions.
Yeah, you mean to tell me it didn't enter your mind that that might be a possibility?
Yeah.
She got quiet, and I said, you know, silence is gold.
Yeah. And she probably was promoting you as the father anyway to everybody.
And she chose me because I was the one who was stable.
I've heard that before, man. Wow.
And,
Wow.
and see, like I said, I didn't know. Sometimes I would just have some feelings, but I would just block them out of my mind. But like I said, when she was 10, I just kind of looked at her and I was like, something doesn't feel right.
Yeah. A lion knows his own cubs too.
That is true.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, to us they all look alike, but a lion can tell his own cub.
Yeah, that's right.
That's just the law of nature there, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But just like I said, well, let me ask you a question, real, because I want to get your thoughts. You know, because you and I, when we talk about some serious things.
Right.
I want to know what you think about fatherhood in a gynocentric world where feminism is promoted.
That's the world we live in today.
Right.
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 To me, it's a sad state. That's why I'm doing this program, because
Right.
fathers matter.
Exactly.
And I think fathers should be celebrated because right now, we celebrate Mother's Day like it's Christmas.
Right.
Fathers, we don't get the same emphasis put on our contribution to the family. And I'm not just talking about the financial contribution or the financial burden. It's the I call it a fivefold ministry we have in the family. If we are doing it correctly, we are to
Right.
provide,
Right.
protect,
Yep.
teach, instruct, and
Yep.
cultivate
That's
the
right.
relationship. Those are 5 things that fathers do without question. Without
Right.
we don't even think about what I need to do. Those are just instinctive things that we do as fathers.
Right.
And I'm not negating the mother's role, but those 5 things are very, very important to a child to bring
Right.
balance.
Right.
Because a lot of times, even with feminism, Michael, you bring a lot of emotionalism into the equation. And
Exactly.
statistically, they say 1 out of 4 black women will marry in their lifetime in this day and time, in this modern age, right? And 80% of divorces or separations are filed by women.
Yep. Yep. That's
80%. So
Yeah,
they are destroying their own marriages a lot of times, and then you will hear the story, which is not always the case. Because I talked to some women this weekend. You hear the story. Oh, men cheat. Women cheat too.
Yeah.
Men
As a matter
cheat
of fact,
with women.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, they're actually men. With our masculine egos, a lot of times we tend to leave some evidence behind, but women are real slick about stuff.
Oh, they can be very much so. Very much so. Women.
And whoever's listening, we're not talking about all women.
No,
And-
it's
and-
never all. We're looking at percentages.
Right. And but see, just by virtue of what's going on now, that these a lot of what's happening to these young people today is directly because the father is not in the home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You shared with me a picture one time when there was a mother looking out the window saying, I don't need no man.
Right.
And the little girl says, I don't need one either. And then the little boy says, I don't want to be a man.
Man, that thing hurt my feelings when I read
You
that
know?
thing, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got 3 people in the house that don't believe that a man is necessary.
Yeah.
And when your son don't believe that you are necessary, you're in trouble. I mean, he's in trouble because now he has only feminine energy.
Right. Right.
You know?
And I know about that, man, because I was raised by women, but I learned how to be a man running with older dudes out in the street, man. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
Even though these dudes were doing some stuff that I would never have done because my mother probably would have tried to kill me. And but even though even some of them were selling drugs, some of them were doing just crazy stuff. But man, the wisdom still, even though they weren't doing, all of them weren't doing the right thing. The wisdom that would come out of their mouths, is something that I could never get from
you wouldn't
my
have gotten.
mother or my grandmother.
Yeah, you wouldn't have gotten from them. Yeah, because all they know, and that leads to the question, too, that can a woman teach her son how to be a man? And the answer is no.
I don't think so either, man.
I don't think so.
If that was the case, then that, even though there's a woman head of that family would still be more solid if she could.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my mother, I was raised by a mother too. I mean, she did the best she could, but as far as being a man and what I needed to know to be a man, and the responsibility of being a man, I didn't learn that from her.
Yeah.
I learned from other men just like you did. Hanging out with older men
Yeah.
and listening to them and talking to them and asking questions.
Yeah. I did the same thing. They would tell me, man, look, man, I ain't doing right. I know I'm not doing right, but man, don't let me catch you out in the street doing what I'm doing.
Right.
And they would break it down to me and tell me how they came to do what they're doing, but they were like, man, there's another way for you to do it. But one of the things why I think that that as boys and males and females need a father in the home, but as a son, you know, women are loyal to their emotions. They're more loyal to their emotions than they are to a man.
Yes.
So because they're so loyal to their emotions, they raise their sons up to be hyper emotional.
Hyper emotional. That's why I tell fathers who are going through the court system too, Michael, don't give up. Don't give up. You know, even if you have to fight, because the woman's going to fight you a lot. 9 times out of 10, if she thinks that you're involved with another woman or they see your lifestyle going up, they will use those children as weapons against you. So I tell men, don't give up. Don't give up, because let your child know that you always fought for them and you always tried to be in their life, because that's gonna be your saving grace as they turn 18, 19 years old. You know, they may want to come back and have that bond with you once they get from under mom's roof. You know.
Right. And I was trying to explain to this young lady why men need to be more logical and more stoic. I said, because when men, I said, even if they're straight young men, when they have this hyper emotional, men don't handle their emotions like women do.
No.
Men get emotional with each other. Their next move is to try to kill each other.
It's a fight.
Right.
It's definitely a fight, because we feel disrespected.
Yeah. And I said, so that's why the creator of all, God, we call him God, some people call him Lord, some people call him Jesus, whatever you call him.
Right.
You know, I call him the Most High, whatever. You know, I said, if there's a reason why he created us to be more logical, because men need to be able to think. As leaders, leaders need to be able to think. And I think one of the reasons why our families and society is so broken is because people don't want to follow the order that God himself set up.
No, not at all. Especially now you're getting more into the feminism aspect of modern day relationships. It's a feminist movement towards that. They want you to be the traditional man,
right?
But they want to be a modern woman.
Right. And that's not good for a family.
How is it working for you?
It's not.
And you want to hear something crazy too that blew my mind statistic wise.
Mm-hmm.
Within the context of lesbian relationships,
right?
They're breaking up and filing for divorce at an 80% percentile too.
You right about that, man.
When I heard that, I said, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
They can't even get along with each other. Not alone trying to get along with a man.
Right. This lesbian, she was one of those people that you might call a stud, you know.
Yeah.
And she said to me, she said, I finally understand what men are talking about. Because see, in that relationship, she was acting as the man.
Yeah.
She said, I finally understand. And she said, I'm seriously considering going back to be a real woman.
Wow. Well, that's interesting too, because I saw this. It's on YouTube. This young lady, she committed to living as a man for 2 years.
Right.
And after 18 months, 20 months, she stopped.
Wow.
And she ended up killing herself, Michael.
Wow.
Because she felt how women treated her as a man. And this is something, see, I can't decide not to be a man. You know what I'm saying? She made that decision not to be. But she really looked like a man. And she lived her life as a man. And she presented herself as a man. And the way she was treated, she said she had to stop, man. After like 18 months of it. I said, okay, I can't stop. You know what I'm saying? I still got to deal with that side of you, the emotionalism, the argumentation of all of those aspects that you bring. And men want, in addition to the fivefold ministry, I want to add, because a previous guest, he added this one. We want, above all things, we want peace.
Right. Right.
We want peace in a
That's typically what
relationship.
men want.
And I was talking to a young lady this weekend, and we talk about the high percentage of divorce.
Right.
Intimacy, this is one thing that she said is missing in her relationship, and she's ready to throw in the tile.
Right.
Not understanding that maybe he wasn't taught, maybe he wasn't trained, maybe he doesn't know this. Maybe to you it could be a 10, to him it could be a 2. So that's,
Right.
and then you just got married, so why won't you give it some time and grow versus saying, no, I'm ready to let this go.
Yeah, man. I find that.
Everything else works great. Everything else in the relationship is good, but that one thing, she's ready to throw it all away.
You have to talk. You can't. It's just like abortion. You can't treat marriage and abortion like these are means of contraception.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I just officiated over a wedding a couple of months ago.
Okay.
And because I've had my license, man, for like 32 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I'm like, look, do y'all really want to be together? This is what I asked them. This like, do y'all really want to be together? Because this is an older couple too. I said, because you don't have much more time to live.
Right. Right.
They were like, yeah. I said, so you're gonna have problems. Even at your age, you're gonna have problems. Are y'all willing to work this thing out with people? See, that's why I say people. That's why I equated in marriage with abortions, because people get married and they make these promises. They promise to love, honor, cherish, and do all of these things in sickness and in health, and for in the good times and in the bad times, for better or for worse. Till
Yeah.
death do you part.
Yeah.
But they're just words in most people's
Yeah,
lives.
they
When
don't
things
mean it.
don't go right, they abort the marriage.
Oh, quicker in a hurry. Quicker in a hurry.
Well, let me ask you this, man, because this is one of the things. I want to see what you think about this. I heard somebody say this. First of all, I have never in my life heard a man say, I don't need a woman. But I hear women say they don't need a man.
Always.
All the time.
Yeah, I hear it too.
So,
That's not in our vocabulary.
right, because we know we need women. So, but a man who increases himself financially, most of those men tend to want to create a family.
Yes.
But when women increase themselves financially, they say they don't need a man.
No, or they want a man that makes more or is higher than themselves.
Right.
They
right.
hypergamy is what they practice. They don't
Right.
want somebody. They would never, a woman who's gotten herself to that level, she would never marry somebody that worked at McDonald's.
Right.
That's not now. A man who's at that level, he will marry that woman if she look good and she treats him right, because
Yeah,
we are more into the relationship aspect of it, but her is financial and security.
Right.
That's their primary goal. And a woman will leave you for another man if she thinks he can provide more for her.
Right. So, so when I hear people say, that you're supposed to be a father, but you're not a father, you're no good, and I'm thinking, are you looking at yourself though? Are you looking at how you keeping this man? Now we know there's some bad guys out there, but most guys who are fathers want to be fathers.
They want to be fathers. I want peace in my home. I want somebody that's going to work with me and not against me.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Like you said today, man. Most guys don't really want out of the marriage. It's just like you said. And again, if there's any women listening, we're not talking about all. But but in this day and time, we have to still say the vast majority of women, because the kind of women that in this day and time that I would like to have. It's kind of rare today.
Very much so. Very much so. It's very rare air. You are 100% correct with that.
Yeah.
I wanted to try to. I'm gonna get a hard wire because I've tried to Bluetooth you to the board, but for some reason when I Bluetooth you to the board, I can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, so for some reason it's not working tonight. I don't know why.
Is there something I need to do on this end?
No, not really. You could come on Zoom, but I have Nick on hold on Zoom. He's been listening.
Okay.
I want to get his opinion, but let me know, Michael, if he can't hear him or not. Okay. So Nick, why don't you unmute and hopefully you've been paying attention and listening. Wanted to get your thoughts on what we've been talking about so far. Are you still there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here. Good evening, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear him.
Oh, good. Okay. So, Nick, what is your thoughts on what we've been discussing tonight?
I don't know. I just take into account you never stop fighting. I really take that to heart, and that goes for every father here. And I'll never stop. And this gentleman, I'm assuming, will never do that as well.
Oh no, I keep fighting.
Yeah, we have to, man. That's just the nature of a father. We don't just have children or want to be in we want to be in our children's life for life. It's not that once they turn 18 that we don't see them anymore. I mean, you look at the grandchildren and sometimes great grandchildren that can come from that relationship, and the help that you can get or gain from that relationship as we get older and as they get older.
Right.
Spending time with your grandchildren is a blessing as well, because now you have another generation that you can impact their lives and teach them things. And then with you being retired, you have more time to spend teaching and cultivating the next generation. That's what fathers do.
Right.
Yeah, that's the goal for sure. His grandchildren, have a relationship with my child when he's older. I want him to be able to come to me. I want to be able to go there whenever I want, or him to ask me for help when he needs it. Just always be there. I plan to be retired, so I'll have that time, and I want that time with my child and my grandchildren.
Absolutely. One of the things that I talk about, Michael and Nick, is and I think about too, is at my funeral, would I want my children to come, and what would I want them to say if they did come? So I try to live that today. I don't ostracize them or try to cut them out of anything, because I want them to show up. I want them to be present, and I would like for them to say something nice about me, something complimentary about me. And here's the challenge we face nowadays. We have young people dying before their parents these days. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
I mean, and it's almost epidemic in some circles. I've noticed since COVID and people getting that shot, there are more and more young people just been taken out of here, man. And I'm talking, when I say young, I'm talking under 40.
Oh yeah.
Under 40, dropping dead, heart attacks.
Right.
Not just from a car accident. I'm talking about just gone. So I tell young people, and even on this show, I said, don't take your father for granted.
Right.
Because you or him may not be here tomorrow. Give us our flowers now. Don't wait until something happens and then you say woulda, coulda, shoulda, but didn't.
Right.
It should not be that way. But they will celebrate the mothers. 365. They'll celebrate the mother. Mother can cough and they ready to run for mom. But then, like in your situation, dad, they don't even call. Think about all the lunches that you miss with her and time spent just sharing, the day and talking about problems that she may be facing today that you could help with.
Yeah, that's true.
The struggle don't have to be all yours. The burden is not all for her, because you still have something that you can contribute to her life. And even in Nick's situation, he have a son, you still have something that you can contribute to their lives, and they don't They need to recognize that and realize that. And I will say, and it's just my opinion, get away from the thought process of their mothers
Right.
and form their
Right.
own relationship with their fathers.
Right.
You know, because a mother can say he ain't sugar honey iced tea, and children tend to believe that or buy into it without looking for themselves. And that's the sad part for me.
That is true. That is true. You know, man, I just that you know when the other man, what's his name,
Nick,
was
yes.
talking about keep fighting. I mean, you know, even when I found out, man, I mean I would have to fight against this lady tooth and nail. So I never left. Even though when I found out biologically she wasn't mine, I still fought for her.
Right.
That's why with me, I don't understand what the change was, because I've always been in her life up until you know, like 5 years ago, and I reached out to her. But I think some of that may have to do with her husband.
Really?
You know, because he doesn't seem to want me. Well, you know, he had a horrible life growing up himself. So I remember he said some things when I first met him. He was like, well, you know, your dad, you know, he spoils you, and your dad, he does this. And it wasn't about spoiling. We just had a very close relationship.
Right.
So I think what he in trying to create his own family, he pulled some maneuvers to pull her away from me. So in all actuality, at this time I can't 100% blame it on the mother. I think
Right.
he has something to do with that, because she's kind of listening to him.
Yeah, that's possibility as well. But you know,
Right.
the sad part about it, and like I say, children need both parents.
Exactly.
You know, they need both parents. It's not a want, it's a need. And when you have a mother and a father that's living, that's present, you should take advantage of every day that you have to spend time, to call, to talk, to go out to dinner, to go see them, to visit them. I mean, yes, you have your own life. Yes, you have, you know, things going on in your life too, but holidays, birthdays, you know, special occasions within the family, weddings, things like that, you should take advantage of those and spend time. And the advantage too is when you get the children to know their extended family.
Right.
You know,
Right.
because you could be grandfather to her 3 children.
Right. But see, the thing is, man, I really don't even know them.
Wow.
See? And so, you know, but like I said, you know, it's just a matter. Like I said, I haven't given up the fight, but it needs to still needs to work both ways.
Absolutely. Nick, you have anything else you want to add?
Not really. Just kind of listening in today. It's good to hear you got someone else on board. So I'm assuming we'll have some more time to discuss, you know, the letter that I shared to you earlier today. Maybe in the following week we can kind of discuss that more.
Yeah, just give me a call. Give me a call tomorrow. We can talk about it tomorrow.
That doesn't have to be on the side. Could be within a show, or if you want to chat offline about it.
I'd rather do offline.
Okay. That
Okay.
sounds good.
Yeah, let's do that offline, because I don't want to muddy the water as far as what, you know, people are not going to know what we're talking about,
Yeah.
and,
understood.
and I don't want you to read that out. That's something personal. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just if you want to hang in with us, please feel free to do so. Michael and I will continue to talk then. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Michael, you got anything else? Thoughts or questions that you know that have come to mind? We've covered a lot, and you and I, you know, we probably could talk for 2 hours, man, or more, because you know, this is how we've always been, you know, spending time talking about, I'll say, problems and solutions. You know, we don't just talk about the problem. You know, there is a solution in all of this. What do you think would it take for people to wake up and see value in fathers as you and I do.
Well, one of the things, man, I really, and I hope this doesn't sound bad, but I really think that women need to look at, especially these single parent homes where the woman is the head and is struggling, and you see the children going out here getting killed, getting in trouble, and I think we've always been told that we need to look at ourselves, but I think women themselves need to look at the situation and realize and acknowledge the fact that their families are better off when the father and the mother are in the same place working together.
Yes.
For the benefit, even if it's nothing more than for the benefit of their children.
I agree. And you know what the shift was? I think a lot of times in our value system has changed because with women today, modern women I'm talking about, and we're not talking about all, but a lot of them, they have embraced the social media aspect of it and wanting to be popular and get a good feeling about people looking at their pictures or liking their pictures.
Right.
Whereas with me, I don't care about that kind of stuff, you know. For me, when I talk to a woman, you know the first question I asked them, and I had a conversation this weekend with my stepdaughter. I said to her, "Are you a wife?
Right.
Why do you think you are a wife?" And she really couldn't answer the question. She said, "I'm a good person." But that doesn't make you a wife.
Right.
You know, there are good men out here, there are good women, but that don't make you a wife. So, you know, I told her she really need to think about what it means to be a wife, because if you understand what a wife is and also understand what a husband is, the next time you pick someone, you might want to pick someone that's in alignment with your goals and what you're trying to accomplish, because she has 2 children going through a divorce. And, you know, a lot of men in that situation are going to overlook her or just look at her for one thing.
Right.
And that is access.
Right.
But they're not going to offer marriage to her. They'll look at her for one thing, and if she gives it to them, hey, they have no incentive to marry.
Right. Right. You know, you've heard many people say it, you know, women give access to sex, men give access to marriage.
Absolutely.
So they're going to be looking for, and I'm saying that to segue into this. I do not like this idea of, in a relationship, of what they call my partner. Because partner is a wide open thing.
Yeah.
You have all kinds of partnerships.
Yeah. But marriage is not a partnership.
Marriage is that it's a spiritual relationship between, a lot of people don't want to use a husband and a wife. And so, you know, so the partner is the big boom word. Oh, well, my partner. If I'm married, I don't want to call her my partner. I want to call her my wife, because
Absolutely.
you can be there's all kinds of partners.
Right. And that can be defined in so many ways. But as a wife,
Right.
The wife is a helpmeet.
Right.
A wife with a marriage, there's commitment.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's duty, there's honor, there's respect.
Right.
You know.
And see, the thing is that most women, not all, again, most women have been tricked into thinking that to be a wife, they keep equating being a wife and submission to slavery.
Or weakness.
Or weakness, right.
They see it as a weak place, but that's not the case.
It's not the case at all.
The wife, if she is in her femininity and she's a woman of strength,
Right.
she has influence in the relationship. It's not
Right.
about controlling, it's about influence. And if I can trust you, you're my ride or die, I know you got my back, then I'm going to trust your intuition, I'm going to trust your opinion. But if we're constantly battling one another, and we're in a conflictual relationship, then it's never going to get right until we heal and deal with that. And that has an impact on the children.
Yes, it does.
You know, because I work in the mental health field, and a lot of times they want me to come in and fix the child, but I got to look at the spouse relationship or the co-parenting relationship and see the dysfunction there. I understand why the child's dysfunctional.
Right. Right.
You know, I say you guys need to get on the same page, and then the child will fall in line. But
Right.
they don't want to do that sometimes.
Right. They emulate their parents.
Michael, I had a case that literally closed when the kid saw his parents standing on the soccer field side by side. They were on the sidelines of the soccer field, just standing there talking to one another while he's playing soccer. And the behaviors went away just like that.
Wow.
Just from that image, he saw his parents on the same, because they were always fighting and bickering and going to court and doing the police being called, all of that. The fact that they did that brought him down. That's powerful, man. That imagery, that picture was meant a lot to that kid. And parents don't understand that sometimes. You know, fatherhood is important, so is motherhood. You know, you remember when we did public access, a lot of the programs were what? Female.
Yeah.
Women. And I'm not negating the importance of those relationships, but I'm not going to do this show about fathers without talking about mothers.
Right.
But they will do a whole show talking about empowering women without mentioning the man.
Right.
And collaborating with the man and working together to heal the relationships, to raise the children. They would do a whole show, a whole hour, and never discuss that at all.
That's right.
You know?
And again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, man, about the order that God Himself set up. That's the thing that works. But people don't want the thing that works.
No. And you know what's so crazy too, Michael? I was at an event this weekend that really had me kind of weirded out a little bit, in that I was at an event and there were a young lady was there, and she had got her doctorate degree. So she was a doctor, and 3 of her friends were doctors. And most of the people at the event were females, and they were either in school or at least had their master's degree.
Right.
You know what the common denominator was? It wasn't the education. You know what the common denominator with all of them was?
What's that?
None of them had a man.
I knew that's where you were going to go.
So they put education above relationship, not understanding that women have a biological clock. Your degree is not going to erase the clock.
Right.
At 35, you are considered geriatric pregnancy. You are a high-risk pregnancy at 35. Right. So even if you wait till 30 or 29, guess what? You're getting into that danger zone.
Yeah, that's true.
And that means you can only have maybe 1, maybe 2, if that many. Some of them say they only want to have 1. And my thought process was, well, what if that one dies? What if that one gets in a car accident or gets a disease, and then I have nothing?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm still alone. You know what I'm saying? Whereas with you at 64 years old, you can go shoot up the club if you want to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But with a woman, she has a timeline that at 35, you're middle-aged, and most men are not looking for the 40-year-old that got the degree, that got a good business, got a big house, especially if they want to have kids.
Right.
Because even if you got a good degree, you got a good job, guess what? You're not going to want the man that works at Ace Hardware.
Right.
Or does construction. You know what I'm saying?
But men and fathers, and I know you've heard this too, I know this preaching to the choir, men don't care about a woman's education.
No, not at all. And we don't care about their money either.
Right, don't care about their money.
I don't care about her money, how much she got, because at the end of the day, guess what? I'm not going to manage it. I'm not going to spend it. So why I got to care about that? I'm about getting mine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even in relationships I'm in now, I don't care about how much money you have.
Right.
I'm not impressed by that.
Yeah, and I tell women all the time, men, especially if they're seeking a wife, they want to know. They don't care about your money. They don't care about your education. They don't care about all that stuff. They want to know if you know what it means to be a good wife.
To be a
if
wife.
You know what it means to do and a good mother.
To be a wife first, and then the mother.
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the criteria right there. You know,
Right.
can I come home to peace, or do I have to come home? What they say, it's better to live on a tin roof with rain than to live in a house with a woman who is what? Argumentative.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, and like I said, we already know, like, because you know, a lot of times the women will come back where you know there's a whole lot of no good men. We already know that, but there are a whole lot of good men who get looked over because they don't represent that 1% that you think you deserve.
They think they deserve, yes, 1%
Right.
point, and in the black culture it's 0.001%. You know, because not a lot of us make the money and have the height and you have everything criteria wise that they want us to have. It's just not our reality. You know, especially living in these United States of America. You know, it's not that you can't achieve those things, but you definitely would want someone to work with you and not against you in that process, you know? Because, you know, my situation, once I was in a relationship one time, and arguments, and I'm trying to move us in a direction. I have vision. I wrote the vision. I made it plain. I literally wrote it up in a book. This is the vision. This is where we want to go. And fought me. And then when the sugar hit the fan, it's, well, you the man, you the husband. Hold on. If I'm the lead, let me lead.
Right.
Don't argue with me and give me a whole lot of grief if I'm trying to show you this is where we need to go. You know? But as soon as it mess up, then it's my job to fix it.
Yeah.
And that usually means I have to come up with $2,000 or $3,000 plus to get your credit fixed, to get you out of debt, so that 90% of your check is not going to paying bills. That's what it meant to me, you know. I'm getting your credit straight.
Right.
I'm paying off your bankruptcy that you filed.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, how many times do we have to go around this tree before we realize, hey, I need to respect my husband and listen to him. Maybe he might know something. And then they get mad at me because other people were listening to me. Well, let me put it this way. Other females were listening to me.
Right.
You know, it's like, what? Okay, you can listen to me too.
Yeah.
We would be so much further down the road if you got on board with me and helped me.
That's right.
You know?
Right. And I don't know. And the important word is help.
Yes.
It's not slavery. It's
Yes.
help.
Yes.
You know.
Here's a scenario, Michael, that I lived through. I'm going to pay all the bills. I'm going to be the provider in the home. Your check, save as much of it as you can.
Yep.
And you know what happened? She spent all of it.
Right.
5 years, she spent every dime.
Right. My situation was similar. But her response to me, because I was paying all of the bills, her response to when I told her to save her money, and I said, just take some of your money and pay off these little credit cards and stuff like that, and then just save the rest so in case we have some emergency, in case we want to go on a trip, in case we want to do it. And her response to me is that I don't need you to tell me what to do with my money.
With my
I said,
money.
but
It's
you don't
not her
have
money.
Right. I said, but you don't have a problem with me paying all of the bills and putting a roof over everybody's head. And she was like, well, you a man. That's what you're supposed to do. I said,
See?
What? You're not supposed to be a wife, though, right?
See, there it is right there. There it is right there. And Michael, when I talk about paying everything, we go out to eat, I paid. We went on a trip, I paid.
Right.
We flew on a plane, I paid. You know what I'm saying? It's not, and all you got to do is save.
Right.
because we have more years behind us than we do in front of us. So we need to start preparing for the future.
Right.
In 5 years, there was nothing.
You know, man, I'm very worried about, because, you know, we know we're going to die at some point, but I'm very worried about the fatherlessness we're going to leave these children in.
Yes. Yes. And when you say fatherlessness, I'm looking at weakness too.
Yeah.
Because when you don't have balance, when you don't have both parents in their life, there's a missing, there's a hole, there's a void, and that makes a person weak. That makes a person insecure. And what do they say? Hard times make strong men.
Yeah.
And good times make weak men.
That is true.
You know,
I
and
agree with that.
yeah, and a lot of people. Now, I'm not saying. Well, I'm gonna say. Back in 2007's numbers, I'm gonna give 2007 numbers because that was the last time I looked at statistics. It said 98% of people who work jobs will not retire with financial dignity.
Right. That's true.
So if you're not an entrepreneur with your money and saving and investing your money yourself, you are in that 98%. And that was from the U.S. Department of Labor and the Social Security Administration. They gave that statistic.
Right.
98% failure. And with the prices going to where it is now, I don't think it's going to get better. It's more than likely it's going to get worse because look at the cost of living since 2007.
Right. Right.
You know, even people who've retired, they may have money now, but with the cost of living, they have less spending power every year.
Yep. That in addition to the uprise of artificial intelligence.
Yes.
You know, because that's going to replace
a lot of jobs.
Jobs that we never thought AI would replace are now replacing.
Replaceable. Yes, they are.
And going right back to what you're saying, figuring out ways to invest or use your money wisely so as we grow older, you know, our finances won't be so much of a burden.
Right, because there's a point of diminishing returns if you're not constantly putting money in, but you're constantly taking the money out. Eventually, that pot's going to get smaller and smaller.
Right.
You know, I saw Michael on YouTube, AI. They was talking about replacing bookkeepers,
Right.
accountants.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so easy to replace them.
Even,
know?
even nurses and doctors, man.
Yes, the industries are going to change,
Right.
and if we're not riding that wave and learning those skills, a lot of jobs are going to go by the wayside by necessity. Because look at all of the data centers that they're building around the country, and some people are fighting them in their neighborhoods. But that's just the reality of where we're headed.
That's right.
You know.
That's right.
And
That's right.
here's the thing, Michael. Fatherhood,
Yep.
they expect you to be the one to do it. Now, here's the thing. Because I asked you a question earlier. What do you think it would take for women and men to come together and work together as parents?
Right.
It's going to be an economic struggle, because as women's financial or spending ability goes down, they're going to be looking for a strong man or a man to be able to come in and support their lifestyle, or at least be able to help maintain their lifestyle. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you might have a Mercedes now and a 5-bedroom house, but when you retire, can you maintain that? And most people are not going to be able to do it.
I will go so far to say that if push comes to shove, and many of us have to leave our homes and go and live in the woods somewhere, what do you think women are going to expect the men to do?
They're not going to be able to do it without a man.
That's what I'm saying. You know,
They're not going to
say,
be.
You're the man. You're supposed to do this, and you're supposed to do this.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. You know what I tell them? You know what I tell them? I don't supposed to do nothing but stay black and die. Those are the two things I'm supposed to do. Everything else I do is because of a choice that I've made, a commitment that I've made.
Yeah. Man, what do you what do you think about the advent of what we call social media and how it has affected women?
You say affected, I say infected.
That's a better word.
Yeah, it's sad. Do you know a lot of the inventors of apps and social media? They don't even allow their children to participate in it.
Right.
So that says a lot about it right there.
Yeah. So you have it used to be mothers, but now you have grandmothers competing with their granddaughters.
I see stuff like that all the time. 60-year-old, 65-year-old women taking pictures of themselves. And some of the pictures are very almost lewd, suggestive,
Yeah.
And I'm like, you somebody's mother, you somebody's grandmother, you somebody's sister,
Yeah.
I think it's sad, man. And then you know what's so crazy? They will not want their man. Let's say I'm dating you now, and I say I don't feel comfortable with you doing these pictures. They'll break up with you,
Yeah.
because we know how men think.
Yeah. That is true.
But they don't know how men think, and a lot of them don't even ask their fathers how do men think.
Right.
Hopefully, if their fathers are still alive, they could tell them something about, hey, when a man sees you looking like this is what he thinks about you.
Right.
What's the guy's name? Dave Chappelle.
Right.
He said something. He told a joke one time about a woman. She the way she was dressing, she looked like a prostitute, but she didn't want to be thought of as a prostitute. And he asked her, says, "Why are you wearing a prostitute's uniform?" Just like if I'm a police officer, you would think I was a police officer, right? You would think I was a police if I had the uniform on. So why are you wearing a hoe's uniform?
Right.
But they don't want you to call them that. You know what I'm saying? But you wearing the uniform.
Right. Their answer, a lot of times, I've heard this many times, their answer is, well, this is the way I was dressed, this is the way I look when you met me. So now you want me to change.
Wow.
That's what I heard a lot of women say.
Yeah, but that's for protection.
Right.
Men want to protect what's theirs.
Right.
If you want me to provide for you, also I need to protect you. Because no man wants to have to fight every night for somebody approaching you like you're a prostitute in the streets. That's real. And let's look back. Let's look back throughout the generations, and dating is a new phenomenon.
Yeah.
It wasn't done. I mean, back in the 50s, 60s, dating became a thing. But prior to that, there were a lot of arranged marriages. Even in the United States, we had arranged marriages where people met each other at the wedding.
That is true. That is true.
The families had a play. Even in Africa, the families had a say in whether or not you were going to get married or not.
Right. And also, you remember, man, back in the day, there was no such thing as what we call teenagers today. They got to a certain age, 12 and 13 years old, they went right into adulthood.
Right.
But you had some great grandparents and great grandparents got married when they were 13 and 14 years old and stayed married until they died.
Yep.
At an old age.
Yep. But you know what we hear a lot of, Michael, and the reality of it is, we're going back into those percentages and numbers again. When a lot of women hear that about their grandmothers or great grandmothers, they hear that, oh, they were slaves, or they were the daddy did this to them, the daddy was this to that, But even if the grandfather was a cheater at the time, grandmothers cheated too.
Yeah.
People who cheat gonna cheat, but My thing is this: if you take care of home and you treat home correctly, you don't have to worry about them cheating. But even if they do cheat, it's not about you. It's something broken inside of them
Right.
that will cause them to cheat. You know, so you can't really take it personal. But I know a lady I knew. She used to talk about her husband. He was into legs. He loved big butts. He loved legs. Right? She knew, and he was a very attractive man. So she said, "You know what I do? I drain him before he leave home. If I know he gonna leave home, I take care of him before he leaves home."
Right.
And a lot of women that went over their head, they said, "Shoot, I ain't doing that."
Right.
You know, because a lot of them, as soon as you put the ring on the finger, you walk down the aisle, that whole relationship changed.
Yeah, and then they start using sex as some kind of leverage.
Weapon.
Material things that they want.
Absolutely, weapon. They weaponize it.
Yeah.
You know, and then I understand sometimes why men do cheat.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right.
Right.
I'm not saying it's right, but you know, counseling is always important to get and participate in. But I understand why it's happened in the past with some men.
Right.
You know.
Right. Man, and then again, this all goes back to I think the main reason, there's two reasons why our families are so destroyed. There's no real God in their life, and there's no father in the household.
Right.
You know.
I agree.
And when I say father, I'm not talking about just a man being there. I'm talking about men who understand what fatherhood is all about.
The responsibility of being a father. Absolutely.
Right. Right.
Absolutely. And you know, when you mention God, I think about Ephesians chapter 5, because in it talks about wives submit to their husbands. But prior to that submission, it says husbands and wives submit to God.
That's right.
You submit to God, I submit to God, and then it's easy for us to call what I call that spiritual protocol, get into that alignment, because we know who we are submitting to. Ultimately, we're submitting to God, or as unto the Lord. But a lot of people, Michael, these days, we spiritual.
Yeah.
We don't. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in Jesus. I'm not this. I'm spiritual. So what does that mean when you say you spiritual? And how is that working for you?
Yeah. And what spirit are you operating? What you operating with anyway?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, I tell people they really need to study Christianity more and realize that Jesus was a radical.
Right.
That's why they killed him. They had to kill him.
Right.
He was in their face. He was telling them they were wrong. He was pointing out their hypocrisy.
I agree with that. The
You know?
Jesus that we've been presented with today in the churches is not the Jesus of the New Testament.
Not at all. Not at all. So the one question you have to ask yourself once you read it and study for yourself is Jesus credible?
Right.
Is he credible? What he said, is it really true? And if it is true, then you have to accept the truth of what he said, because he said those that worship God must worship him in spirit and in truth.
Right.
You know, and here's spirit. A lot of people don't know that. I was talking about this just yesterday, Michael. If you hate somebody, in Jesus' eyes, spiritually, you're guilty of murder.
Right.
If you look at a woman with lust in your eyes, you're guilty of fornication.
Right.
That's spirit. But see, we're not taught that. We don't teach that. We don't live that. So now I can tell you, Michael, I'm spiritual, and that like puts a blanket around me, a covering around me. Pretty much, I can do what I want.
Yeah.
And then when my life falls apart, and now I'm 40 years old and don't have a husband, or I'm 40 years old and don't have a wife, I can blame somebody else for it because it's not my fault.
Right. Well,
Men ain't shit.
Right.
I don't need no man.
Right. And man, see, the thing is, like when I listen to people in the church how they talk about grace, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I tell people all the time, grace comes with accountability. It's not free. And see, I think that's the majority of our problems. Even people, even fathers, you know. But I have to say, especially the who runs the heads of the homes today, nobody wants to be accountable. Grace comes with accountability.
Absolutely.
It's not free.
Absolutely. Freedom is not free.
Right.
Freedom has a price tag.
Right. I was talking earlier today, and I asked this young lady if she knows what freedom really is. You know, they go through this spiel about, well, you know, it's being able to do this and that. I said, that's not what freedom is. I said, freedom is self-government. I said, when you truly know, if we were taught from children how to truly govern our individual selves, we would have no need for a president, a Congress, or a Senate.
That's right.
This is why God said, he said, back then, I wrote my commandments down on tablets. But he said, now I'm going to write my laws on your heart.
The tablets of your heart. Amen.
Because then we won't have any excuse. I tell people this. I said, man, God created evil for a good purpose.
Right.
They looked at me like, you crazy. I said, you're not understanding what I'm saying. I said, he could have made us all robots. He could have made us just do what he says. That doesn't make us good.
Right.
Because we don't know the difference between good and evil.
That's right.
I said, so he loved us enough to give us a free will to choose. This is why he said, I place before you death and life.
Choose life.
Choose life.
Choose
and
life.
Said, this is how you do it, though. You know what I'm saying? So he thought enough of us to give us a choice. I said, but, so he loved us enough to do that.
Right.
So when we talk about freedom, freedom is having the ability to govern yourself without Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. I don't care who's in my mind, they're two sides of the same coin.
Amen to that. That's what I tell people. We think alike. Now
Right.
I see why we friends now, because we think a lot alike. Two sides to the same coin. That's it right there, brother.
Right.
That is it, man.
So when you know you.
Hey, gentlemen, I hate to interrupt. I appreciate you guys
Hey.
sharing this evening. I got to head out.
Okay, man. Good talking to you. Hang in there. This will probably be posted on YouTube at some point in time, so if you want to catch it again. Okay?
That's great. I'll
Enjoy
be
your
with you
evening.
next week.
Okay.
Later, guys.
Right.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, man. So you know, being a good mother and a good father is a choice.
Amen.
It's a choice. When I stayed in it, I told you at the beginning what happened with me and my ex and my daughter, but I chose to do the right thing.
Right.
I could have done what a whole lot of other guys did.
Oh,
I
yeah.
could have said, man, that ain't my kid. I'm bouncing. Boom.
Right.
A lot of dudes do that.
A lot of them do.
Yeah, I made a decision not to do that because number one, my doing that probably would have destroyed her.
And she was innocent.
Right, she was innocent.
She was innocent of it all. She was not to blame, and she would have had to pay. She would have paid the ultimate price of it.
Right.
I agree with you on that.
So I chose to stay, and as much as I was hurt by it, I chose to stay, like you said, because she was innocent, and I chose to be a father to her the best way I knew how. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the way you do it, man. And it's unfortunate, Michael, that we don't value spirituality or value God anymore in our lives. It's almost like he's a lucky charm,
Right.
you know. And or what is the thing? A genie in a lamp. I'm supposed to rub him and get my 3 wishes every day, you know, for him to do something for me. And we don't learn the principles. We don't study the principles.
Right.
But we have expectations of other people. And I tell people all the time, it's not your behavior that's the problem. It's the expectations that you have.
Right.
When I violate your expectations, that's when we have problems. But
Right.
if we've never had a discussion or we don't have a value system in place that we can look at, then it's difficult to, come together and work in harmony because your expectations I'm not meeting and you're not meeting mine. When do we sit down and have a conversation? And I'm talking about mothers and fathers.
Right.
And there are people who are doing it right. There are people who are staying together for 40 and 50 and 60 years. So it's not like it can't be done. But this modern era of women and men, we've gone off the rails somewhere.
Yeah, you're right. And see, in my mind, man, again, going back to what we were saying earlier, it's a lack of accountability.
Yes.
And see, I always put it this way. I said, let me show you the how we don't want to, how not we, but how a lot of people don't want to be responsible. I said, when somebody wrongs you, you say the devil is busy.
Yeah.
I said, but when you wrong somebody, you say Jesus paid it all. In other words, nobody wants to take accountability for their own actions.
None.
They either blame the devil or they blame Jesus.
Right. And because we want control.
Right.
We need to control our world. We need to control everything. We need to know. I need to know everything you're going to do, Michael, before I agree to it. I'm not going to trust you. I'm not going to walk by faith. I'm not going to pray about it. You need to sit here and tell me everything. Well, what if Michael don't know everything? What if Michael is walking by faith like Abraham did?
Right.
When God told him to go to this land that get away from your people. I'm gonna take you somewhere else, and I'm gonna show myself mighty through you. They don't walk by like that anymore. It is sad that we don't have enough faith, to do that. And that submission goes back to submission. Are you truly submitted to God? And I ask women that keep going through relationship after relationship, basically, having sex. I call it a relationship. But basically, they're opening their legs, and then find out, oh, this is not what I want. Oh, he's a liar. Oh, he's that. You could have known all that before you opened your legs.
Well, that is true.
If God was in your life,
Right.
because you would be praying, Lord, make me a wife so that a husband can find me.
That's right.
But they don't pray that prayer because they don't want nobody to tell them what to do.
Right. And then the scriptures, I'm paraphrasing, but the scriptures didn't say he who finds a partner.
No.
It says he who finds
A wife.
finds a good thing.
Right. So what is a wife? What is a wife? That's the question they need to ask. And then they have to ask themselves, am I this person? Do I measure up to be this person?
Right.
Am I doing God's will his way?
Right.
So when I say I'm spiritual, that absorbs me from doing God's will his way in my mind.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you're still going to have to give an account.
Yeah, man. But, again, so just like you said earlier, when it comes to fatherhood and motherhood, if we're not doing this thing right, if we don't get this thing right, man, our children are going to be caught in the crossfire.
They will be. They're going to pay the price. I was in church Sunday, and it talked about how, and I can't remember the scripture right now, but basically she was saying that when you, Michael, don't get it right, it affects your children too. God will put enmity against your child. Not just you, but it affects your child. So you really can hurt your child by you not getting right.
Right. And it says that right in Hosea.
Yes.
It said a lot of people perish for what? A lack of knowledge.
Lack of
knowledge.
knowledge.
Lack of belief. It says a lack of knowledge.
Yep.
But people stop right there. They don't read the next verse. It says, but because you reject knowledge, now I will also reject your children.
That's it.
So
That's the scripture right there.
How we conduct ourselves. And with today, I'm going to get on the women about this. How they keep banging up against us about not wanting to put the family together the way our Maker has told us to put it together.
Right.
Is causing our children to be rejected. knowledge of how to hold our families together.
That's it. That was the scripture right there too that you just quoted. I couldn't remember what it said, but thank you for that. But it did say that, man. I mean, yeah, when you reject knowledge, gosh, I'm gonna reject your children. Why? Because your children are a part of you. If you're not learning and studying to show yourself approved, don't you think it's going to impact the next generation?
Yeah.
So you got a lot of women who are being raised not knowing how to be a wife.
Exactly.
And in Titus, I believe it's chapter 2, it says, "Let the older women teach the younger women how to love their husbands."
That's right.
But you know what now is happening? The older women are competing with the younger women for a husband.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're competing for a husband. They're not teaching them how to be a wife.
Right.
And that's sad to me, man. It is really sad when I see somebody 40 and 50 years old half naked on social media.
Right.
Or you got a group of women out shaking their butts. What's that dance they call it? Twerking and bucket bottles of Jack and drinking to the excess. That to me is crazy. And I'm saying, okay, I don't see any wives in this bunch. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't pick none of them to be a wife. But that's why it's dangerous for a married woman to have single friends.
Right, I agree with that.
They will destroy your marriage.
Yes, they will. And because misery loves company.
Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah. And man, I want to mention something that a lot of people are afraid to talk about.
What's
They're
that?
used to talking about men doing stuff like this. But you have a lot of women, and I have to say this, but a lot of black women who are raising their sons to be a husband to them.
Yes. Yes, they call them
messed
son
up.
husbands.
Right.
Yep.
And I'm like, and I'm like, what in the world, and you have some of them who actually, look, man, I'm gonna tell you something. I used to date this AJ. I used to date this girl until I figured out she had her 16-year-old husband. I mean, her 16-year-old son. This man was like 6 feet tall. I'm only 5'9". This man's 6 feet tall, and he's been sleeping in the bed with her since he was a child, and he's 16 years old, 6 feet tall, still sleeping in the bed with his mother.
No way.
I ain't lying to you, man.
And she thought that was okay?
And she thought it was okay.
Wow.
I said, this is your son, not your man. Now, I don't know if she was doing anything with it, but when I found out, I knew when she slept in. She didn't sleep in. She just slept in a t-shirt. I said, now, you had a t-shirt, no underwear on, and your 16-year-old son, and he's a 16-year-old, so you know he's virile, and you want to snuggle up with your son because you love your son. I said, okay.
Come on, Mike.
I ain't lying to you. I said, I got to leave you alone.
Yeah. And she didn't see anything wrong with that.
No, she didn't see anything wrong with that. That's why I said, a lot of times, you have these women, they don't want a real father. But they train their sons, like you said, to be a husband to them. I'm like, man, why is this guy 16 years old sleeping in the bed with you?
That's kind of weird.
It is kind of weird.
Actually, you should have called CPS on her.
I probably should have. But it's not talked about, but it happens on a regular basis.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it happens a lot. It definitely happens a lot, but they don't talk about that at all. They would talk about the man who is the molester.
Right.
We're gonna crucify him.
Right.
But to talk about the woman who's the molester or the emotional abuser, we don't promote that. We don't talk about that.
Right.
At all. And I think to me, if you're gonna tell it all. Don't tell part of the story.
So how is that son who, like I was in this that I just explained to you? What do you think the mother's gonna do when the son decides, okay, look, I'm gonna give me a
or he wants to bring a girl home and she can live with them and he sleep with
Right.
him and he sleep with her in his bedroom.
Right.
You know, and so now she's by herself.
And then she's going to act just like a jealous woman.
Absolutely.
Being a mother.
Absolutely. It's going to be a jealous woman. And she's going to try to break that relationship up.
Right.
That is so sad, man. That was so sad. How long ago had you dated her? This has been some years?
Oh, man, this has been many years ago. You know, I said it's been some 20-some years ago.
Oh, wow. I wonder how they're doing now.
I never even tried to keep up with her after, because once I found that out, she was like, well, I don't have sex with my son. I said, that's not the point. I said,
It's
your
an
son is
emotional
16 years old.
relationship.
Yeah. I said, you're sleeping in the bed with your son with nothing but a t-shirt on and no underwear. I said, whether you're having sex with him or not, this man is 6 feet tall, 16 years old. Why you got him sleeping in the bed with you?
That's
My
crazy.
son always slept in the bed with me. You don't see anything wrong with that? She said, no. I said, well, you can't.
Yeah.
You definitely.
Yeah, I would have had to say goodbye to that too, you know. And knowing me, I'd say, excuse me, I need to go to my car for a minute. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And I'd have blocked her.
So, you know, and I look at that, I'm just like, now what kind of father, once he became of age, you know, what kind of father would he be?
Exactly. What kind of father, what kind of man would he be?
Right.
Because she's definitely not teaching him how to be a man.
Right. Right.
You know, I mean, he may go from her bedroom to another woman's bed because he thinks that's what you're supposed to do, because he hasn't been trained,
Right.
not correctly anyway.
Any
You know.
woman he gets with, he's gonna be looking for a woman who's
Mother.
like his mother.
Absolutely, a mother figure. You know,
I'll give you another-
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I'll give you another example. I was talking to this girl one time, black girl, and just another, just going back to the importance of a father. His mother, he started dating a white girl, so he brought the girl over, and you know, of course, his mother was peed off with that, and I'm sitting there looking at
Because she was white.
because she was white. But this is the thing. I said to her, when her son wasn't around, when they weren't around, her son and the girlfriend weren't around, I said, let me ask you a couple of questions. I said, has your son ever seen your natural hair? And she was like, no, he's never seen my natural hair.
What?
I said, okay, all these years, your son has never, because, you know, she always wore the lace front and everything.
Oh, really?
But I said, don't you understand he's trying to find a woman who looks like you? I said, look at you. I said, you put makeup on to make your skin look lighter. You wear lace fronts and wigs that mimic, that look like the hair of a white woman. You have blue contact lenses in your eyes.
Come on, man.
And you upset that he's looking at a white girl. I said, he's trying to find a girl who looks like the woman that you're trying to be.
That's right. She
never thought about it that way. I said, do you understand this boy needs a real man in his life to show him something? I said, because he's trying to find somebody like you.
Look like his mother who is putting forth a false image.
Right.
A false image. Hey, Michael, I teach a parenting class on Mondays.
Yeah.
And lesson 1, I talk about being a conscious parent. And
Right.
that means being aware of what you bring to the relationship with your children.
Right.
But I contrast that with an unconscious parent who do things and say things that they're not even conscious of what you're teaching your child when you say and do those things. Just like the way she looked as a mother, the question we need to ask her is, what are you teaching your son about women when he looks at you? When he
Right.
spends time with, what are you teaching your son? Because it's all unconscious. She programmed him that way unconsciously.
Right. Right.
She's an unconscious teacher, because if she was conscious teacher, aware, that means she probably would. Maybe I need to wear my natural hair. Maybe I need to take these blue contacts out of my eyes.
Right. Right. And and again, he's been raised on that emotionalism.
Yes.
And not taught any kind of logical thinking by a father figure that should have been in his presence.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But that's a common tale these days. I heard a statistic too, Michael, that's kind of crazy, that says 80% of women, black women, they have sex with 16% of men.
Yeah, that's true.
And 56% of black men are married, are single and unmarried, never been married before, 56%.
Right. And a lot of those men who were single have never had any children.
No children at all. They have no children. I saw it was a joke that what's her name, Joyce Myers told, and it was about this building with 5 floors in it of men, and on each floor of men it told you what these men liked and what they did, and all of the women ended up on the top floor because they were looking for a particular type of man, and there were no men up there. But they missed all the floors. These men had qualities that they liked. They said, "Oh, well, I wonder what's on the next floor. I wonder what's on the next floor." And then all the women was up there looking for this one particular type of man who don't exist, or the one particular man who don't want them. 6 feet, 6 figures, 6 inches or more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, what percentage of men fit that category? They say 6 feet, 15% of men fit that category. 6 figures, it goes down to 5% of 6 feet men that meet that category. And then, you just breaks it down to like 0.001% of men that all women wanted.
Right. Right.
You're missing out on some good men that could be great fathers to your children. But you rather wait for the man that don't exist, and then hit 35, hit 40, and now you are so in danger of having children that you could die or the child could die, bringing the child to term.
That's right. That's right.
What are the mothers telling their daughters these days? Go to school, get good grades, get a job. Don't depend on no man.
Right. Man, I wish people who desire to be wives and husbands understand what it means to be interdependent.
Yes. Yes.
I don't, this is not you don't get in a marriage to be single in a marriage.
No, not at all. There's no more you and I. There's no more you and I. It's us and we.
That's right. That's right.
The mentality has to change. It's a we thing, and a lot of them come in with you and I.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, so, again, this thing about fatherhood, and, dads, real fathers.
Real fathers.
Men who wanted to be fathers.
Yes.
Bad rap, man. Like going back to what you said, they are looked past. I mean, the ones who are right for them, what they generally want, and this has happened to me, probably happened to you. There's a woman that I would have married in my early 20s. I love this woman, but I guess I wasn't moving fast enough for her because I was just starting off my career, and I told her, I said, look, I'll marry you. I said, but let me. I said, I want to be able to put myself in a position to be a provider, to be a protector.
Right.
But it wasn't fast enough for her.
Right.
So she went off and she's been married 4 or 5 times now.
Wow.
And then she called me back later on in my late 40s saying she had an aha moment.
Wow.
And I said, what is the aha moment? She said, I really should have stayed with you. I said, well, I told you that a long time ago. And she wanted to know if we could get together now.
After 4 marriages.
Yeah, I said, look,
Wow.
you spent all of your youth with all of these different men, and now what you want to bring me or offer me is what you have left over.
Used.
I said I had to move on. I said I wanted you when we were innocent. You know what I mean?
To quote Kevin Samuels, I know you've seen him, heard of him.
Oh yeah.
He said, name a product that increase in value with use and age.
I think I saw that video.
What's the product? There is none.
Exactly.
There's nothing out here that increases value with use and age.
Right.
But women think that they increase value at 40, 50 years old and been through multiple relationships. And then too, this is why fathers are important too, because even talking with my daughters, there's a thing called pair bonding.
Right.
With women, if they slept with more than 5 men in their life, it is difficult for them to get married because they tend to compare every man to those 5 to 20 or 10 men that they've been with. They will compare. So once you get in that comparing, you're going to kill and destroy your relationship.
Yeah, man.
That's why they say after 5, it's hard for a woman. Now, men are wired differently.
Yes, they are.
We are wired differently, so you can't think that, oh, well, he slept with 20 women, so I'm going to sleep with 20 men. It's not going to work for you.
Right, because he's not a basket. She's a basket.
Exactly. It makes a difference. It makes a difference.
You can put a whole lot of apples in that basket.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I catch it. I know exactly what you're saying, but that might be over some people's heads.
Yeah.
But a lot of women don't understand pair bonding, and that's a real thing. Because I've talked to women who've been with more than one man, more than 5 men, and their whole conversation is comparing.
Right.
The way he dressed, the way he looked, the way he did this. Every time they talk about a different man and what they like, the qualities like in this different man. But you talk about the woman who's never been in a relationship, who's a virgin getting married, she has nothing to compare you to.
Exactly. That's why they were meant to be with one man.
Right.
But unfortunately, we're not living in those times.
We Netflixing and chilling now, man.
Yeah.
If you gonna watch Netflix, we gonna chill. This is a new thing. I hate this phrase right here. I even hate the fact that I'm going to say it. We're gonna catch a vibe.
Yeah.
What is all this crap going on here now? And it's just sad to me, man.
Yeah, it is.
And I hate to say this, but I'm gonna put it out there. Hopefully I won't get in trouble for it. But Country Wayne,
Right.
I used to watch his skits, and he talks about Jesus is popping,
Right.
but all of his skits now are so worldly.
Exactly.
I said, where's Jesus in these skits that you playing? You got
Right.
Jesus popping on the chain, but where's Jesus popping in these skits that you're doing?
Yeah, man. Like you, I had to stop watching it because, and then you remember how much more, even the drug dealer, and the guy who plays Mike. You remember how those guys were much more masculine.
Yeah.
When they came on there, now all of them have been punked down, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I can't even watch it anymore. I watch every now and then. I may go and look and see what's happening, but
Right.
I don't even watch. Like one time, Michael, I used to watch every skit.
Me too.
I would never get 2 days behind. I'm watching everything. But now, if I watch one and I close it down, I'm done.
Right. Right.
Because I don't see any redeeming qualities or teachable moments. It's all drama,
Yep.
fights.
Right.
It's like, that's not even the world that I live in.
Right.
You
And
know?
what is it that you don't see? What is it that you don't see?
You don't see
Don't see-
couples staying together and working things
Right.
out.
You don't see fatherhood.
You don't see fathers at all. Being a father, you don't see it.
Right.
You know, I almost want to write a whole season for him and send it to him and see what he would do with it. See if he would even incorporate it. You know, that's what I really want to do, but I don't have time to do it right now. But to me, it's just sad, man.
It is
I
sad.
mean,
I
no
like
no
it.
redeeming qualities at all. Divorce, cheating,
Right.
cheating.
Right.
Everybody's cheating. Everybody's sleeping with somebody. No, come on, man. This is crazy.
Yeah, man. Like you, I did exactly the same thing. When I saw that switch, I was like, okay, I don't even want to watch this no more.
Yeah, I told you we think a lot.
Yeah.
I told you
Man.
that.
I just like, I'm like, man, where are the real men on this joint? I have thought many times. It's funny you said that because I have thought many times of writing Country Wayne myself. And said, man, look, you made a 300, you made a 180-degree switch around, man.
He made a turn. He made a turn somewhere. And God bless him on his success. I hope that maybe he will incorporate some things back into it, the skits, but
Right.
there's no message. There's nothing that things
Right.
that, you know, like, what's the guy's name? Arsenio Hall. Things that make you
Right.
say,
Yeah.
You know, he don't have those aha moments, no nothing. It's just drama.
You right.
Peyton Place,
Right.
you know, soap operas type
Yeah.
stuff all the time. And it's just very disheartening to me,
Yeah.
you know, to have that type of platform and not be able to. If you say Jesus is popular, let me see Jesus.
Right.
You know what would be a good storyline that you wouldn't you could do this storyline and it'd be so biblical?
Right.
Hosea.
Oh yeah.
If they could do a storyline about Hosea. Hosea had drama.
Oh yeah.
His wife was a prostitute. She had 3
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If he could write that in there and say, man, people would lose their mind, but it say, okay, this came right out of the Bible,
Right.
and then let them know where it came from.
That's right.
You know, that's a teachable moment and shows God, because Hosea was God. He represented God in the earth.
Right. Right.
Gomer was the world.
Yep.
She was very worldly. To have 3 kids on her father by 3 different men.
Yeah, man. That, you know. So, I mean, in reality, man, this stuff that's going on is not anything that's brand new.
No.
See, doesn't the scripture say that anything, whatever's happened now has happened before?
Yep. 100%. Nothing new under the sun.
Right.
Nothing at all.
Man, you know, what I have learned, especially among us, man, we have become, we're much like our ancestors were very hard-headed.
Yes.
And but God's order never changes.
Amen.
And we got to get in line with that, man. The men and the women have to go back to being family. You know, God is not going to come in and fix this for us.
No.
He says, if my people, which are called by my name, we got to do something. Humble ourselves.
Turn.
Seek his face and turn from our wicked ways. Then, he said, he will hear us. Then he will forgive our sins. Then he will heal the land.
That's right.
I
Second Chronicles, chapter 7,
Right.
14.
Right. I grew up in church, man, you know, saying that, you know, God is what did it say? Unconditional. No, he's conditional. You can go through all of it. He said, if
Absolutely. If. It's all of the all ifs there.
Right. You know,
If. You have a choice. He's not
Yeah,
gonna negate your choice.
Yeah. I tell people I went to school for, I understand that when I first read it because I went to school for computer programming. And I said, when you write a program, there are certain conditions that must be met.
Absolutely.
When you get to this point, check to see if it's this or that. If
Right.
it's this, then you run this routine. If it's that, then you run that routine.
Right.
You know, God said, if you do these things,
Choose you this day. Choose you this day whom you gonna serve.
isn't that what Joshua told
You
him?
can't serve 2 masters.
Right.
But he said, as for me and my house,
Right.
But a lot of people don't live by that these days, man. We too spiritual. We too heavenly minded. There's a saying that says, I like this. It's funny. It says, everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
Right.
Right. You can hear fear talking. A lot of people, they talk fear, fear, fear all the time, which is sad to me in so many ways. But if you can walk it by faith, there's no place for fear.
Right. If you're walking upright, you have no fear of dying anyway.
Exactly.
Because that's just a segue into real life.
Process. It's a part of the process, part of the journey.
Right.
That's all that we're here on this earth for a blink anyway. That's why I say we need to uplift fathers and give them their flowers when they're here, while you're here. Acknowledge you now. Let them know I appreciate you. Because we try to earn relationships with people. When we cultivate, we're earning that relationship. And the repayment back is the phone calls, the dinners, the spending time together, holidays. Those are the things that you pay parents back with. And it's unfortunate that your daughter don't get that, but I think maybe one day she will.
Right.
We're gonna continue to pray for her that one day, God would show her the error of her ways, and she will realize that you are important.
Well, I hope that I hope and I pray that something. It's funny you say that because there's a friend of mine. She tells me, she repeats those words that you just said to me all the time. Because I'm gonna tell you, man. Sometimes even though I keep fighting, sometimes you still get a little discouraged.
Of course you do. You're human.
Yeah.
You're human, but don't give up the fight, man. Just, every now and then you think about her, reach out, because one thing she will never be able to say, you didn't try.
Right.
Even with my kids, I tried, I didn't do everything perfect. I failed, but I got up and I kept moving. Keep moving forward. Well, Michael, we are coming up on 2 hours, man, and this is the longest show I've done since I've been doing these. So I'm going to have you back again.
Okay.
Because, I know you and I can keep going, but I'm going to go ahead and shut it down because it's coming up on 2 hours. I want to thank you for your time, man.
I thank you for having me, AJ.
I appreciate it, man.
It's always a joy, man. So, even when we talk our private conversation, it's always a joy talking to you.
Always, man. And, you're such a good friend. We don't have to see each other every day or call each other every day, but when we get together, we just pick up where we left off at. That's what I love about you, man. We don't. There's no distance. Hey, we just catch up and just keep going. And you don't get upset. Well, you don't never call me. Well, I don't. You busy? I'm busy because I know you into your music. And I'm when you told me on Saturday, man, I was so proud to hear the kind of money you're making and what you're doing, man. So I'm just saying, keep doing what you're doing, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. Well, I'm going to let you go, and we'll be in touch, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, that was Michael Theory, one of my dearest friends, talking about being a father and fatherhood. We ran the gambit of conversations. This is the longest show I've done. I think I've usually cut most of them at 1 hour. But tonight we just kept going, and I got about 2 minutes to get out of here. But I'm going to shut it down 2 minutes early. So thank you for watching. Thank you for coming back. We also asked you to go to YouTube on my channel and share, subscribe, and like. And if you want to donate to this channel, you can go to my website www.cfh365. and donate to this channel, because I want to be able to be a blessing to a father once a month, to acknowledge fathers, and Michael would be a great one to acknowledge, just for his consistency and what he did with his child growing up. I would love to meet her and talk to her to find out why they are estranged right now. But maybe there'll be another story at another time. But keep watching. We're here every Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. God bless you and have a blessed day.
Record.